things. One, we'll talk about the concept of maneuver warfare. It goes back to the ancient Greek times. The phalanx. Let's talk about Napoleon. The American Civil War in the early stages. You had lines of troops marching, and most people say, well, that's pretty brutal. It's line against line. But actually, if you look at it on a map as they diagram most battles, you get to see certain things. For instance, the notion of fixing an opponent in place. If an enemy has a big concentration here, and I put a big concentration up opposite him, he can't move his troops because he's threatened by my troops. I've fixed him in place. I can then do a feint. I can move troops over here in this direction, and he has to respond to that, move his own forces in that direction. That is a feint. I can then do a deception attack. That is, I can launch an attack here, maybe at odds that aren't favorable to me, but he has to respond to that by bringing in troops to respond to that. And then I can do pincers. While I've shaped the battlefield in this way, I take my other troops and I surround them. And now I can kill them all. That's Napoleonic warfare in a nutshell. And it worked that way in World War II. We saw massive battles of maneuver and encirclement fought throughout Russia between the Germans and the Soviets from 1941 up until 1945. Major maneuver warfare. We saw that in the Gulf War, the war that I was involved in. We used feints. We used deception attacks. We used fixing attacks. And we used large maneuver operations, the great Hail Mary, remember, that rolled everybody up. And the reason why I bring that up is this is simple military science. And you know who some of the greatest students of military science in the world are today? The Russian officer class. I mean, we treat them like they're kindergarten kids. I mean, the way we talk about them, the Russians, they don't know what they're doing. They're some of the best trained, best educated officers you'll ever meet. They know this stuff better than we do. You want to know why they know it better than we do? Because they haven't spent the last 20 years learning how to kick down doors in Iraq and murder an Iraqi family, or crawl through the hills of Afghanistan and kill a goat herder, because that's what we've been doing for 20 years. We don't know how to wage large-scale military war. We forgot how to do it. I used to do it for a living. I spent all my military life training to do this. And even then, I can't say I was perfect at it, but I thought I was ready for it. And I proved I was during the Gulf War. But my point is, we're not ready for it today. We don't train this way. The Russians do. They think this way. So when you take a look at their map, we have a bunch of small arrow people. That's why I call the Americans, who are looking at tactical situations. They look at a videotape that shows a destroyed Russian convoy. They look at a videotape that shows 3 or 4 Russian tanks with guys sprawled out. You know what? War is hell. And when you go to war, people die, including your own. And if you're looking at small arrows, the Russians got slapped around on a couple small arrows. But now we look at the big arrows. The big arrows, what did the Russians want to do? I told you, they wanted to fix people in Kiev. There's 100,000 troops in Kiev that if you don't threaten them, they move down and reinforce. So you drive down from Belarus with 40,000 men and you hold 100,000 in place. You have 80,000 people in Odessa. So you send 30,000 people from Crimea to threaten Odessa while you sail ships with Marines off the coast. And now those troops are stuck. You have 100,000 people in the Donbass, and you don't want to free them up to respond to Kiev or the other. So you fix them. You send the Donetsk and the Lugansk militias across the border in some of the most difficult fighting imaginable, and you grab onto these people and you hold them in close combat so they can't maneuver. And then you use thrust to seize a land bridge between Crimea and Russia proper so that you can freely move your forces in between. Mariupol was the key to that. Mariupol had to fall. It's the only city the Russians have fought for. Ask yourself why. Because it's the only one that matters. All the other cities don't matter. You're not going to take a city of 3.1 million, Kiev, with 40,000 troops. Ain't going to happen. You're not going to take a city of 1.6 million people, Kharkiv, with 50,000 troops. Not going to happen. But you are going to take a city of Mariupol with 50,000 troops because you're going to surround it and pound it, which is what has happened here. They've taken the town. Horrible, horrible, horrible situation, but military necessity dictated that outcome. But my point is, this phase that I'm talking about is called preparing the battlefield. And the other thing that's happened here is the Russians they have blown up virtually all the fuel depots in Ukraine. I don't mean to chuckle about it, but it's important. Because what does a tank run on? Gas. What does a truck run on? Gas. What is a tank that doesn't have any gas? A coffin. What is a truck that doesn't have any gas? Another coffin. All the ammunition depots have been blown up. What's an artillery piece without ammunition? An invitation to be killed. All the water and food and everything that nurtures the troops. What's a hungry soldier and a thirsty soldier? Either dead or a prisoner. So the Russians have been shaping this battle, denying maneuver to the Ukrainians while achieving their localized objectives to prepare for the major pincer operation that's going to trap a Ukrainian force that has been starved, denied water, denied leadership, denied fuel, denied ammunition. That's phase two that's happening around. The Russians left Kiev because they don't need to fix those troops anymore. Those troops can't move because they don't have any gas. So they're stuck. And if they try to move, the Russian Air Force is going to kill them all because they have to get on a highway and they'll all die. And that's what we see. They've tried to move convoys down and the Russians take them all out. There's no reinforcement taking place. The troops that are in Donbass can't maneuver. They're trapped. And now the Russians are coming in and they're going to close a pincer and they're going to kill or capture the bulk of the Ukrainian army. And when that happens, there's nothing left. Nothing left. And then the Russians will be able to dictate any outcome they want. That's why I say the Russians are winning, because that's the way I see the battle. I don't misinterpret things such as, well, the Russians failed to take Kiev. The Russians never wanted to take Kiev. Well, the Russians have failed to take Odessa. They never wanted to take Odessa. These were purely diversionary actions designed to fix in place significant numbers of Ukrainian troops to keep them away from the main effort. And that's why I say that the Russians are winning this war, and they're going to win this war very soon.
Thank you, Scott. There's a lot more that can be said about this. It was interesting today. I read that there was surrender of a number of Ukrainian troops in Mariupol, which I thought was interesting that that's starting to happen, and we're starting to see that.
Elite troops, I need to add. They're not just any. These aren't just average Ukrainian troops. These are elite. These are the Marines.
Yeah.
Which means that if you have a situation where Marines are surrendering en masse, what does that tell you? They have no food, they have no ammunition, they have no fuel, they have no water, they have no hope. So if you can get elite troops to surrender, the ones that normally fight to the death, but they're surrendering now, imagine what the non-elite troops are thinking.